I think Frank Henlotter has a thing for Dick, and I don't mean Richard. Hello, huge movie fanatic Nate, coming at you to do one of my famed Blu-ray reviews. I'm coming at you to review the recently released Arrow Video Blu-ray of the what I would regard as the absolutely fantastic cult horror / comedy classic by the name of Basket Case. Now, I didn't know anything about this release until I saw a video by a fellow horror movie and slasher movie nut here on YouTube. His channel's titled Summerhill Cinema 700. He was the first one, probably, if not the very first, one of the first to drop the news on YouTube about the Arrow Video releasing this new 4K restoration of Basket Case. So I was very excited to hear the news, and very surprised actually to hear the news that they were going to release Blu-ray, a Basket Case. Now, of course, I've got this one. I did a review of the movie. I can't remember when. Maybe it was last year or the year before. I reviewed all three Basket Case movies, and then I reviewed the first and Blu-rays of the first and third movies. I don't have the Blu-ray of the second. In that review, I talk about the movie, and then I talk about this Blu-ray. I mean, I think this Blu-ray is fine, and to be honest, I'll get into it in a moment here. There's things about this Blu-ray that it's the Image Entertainment / something weird video release. To be honest, I think overall at the end of the day I probably still prefer this release as far as a means to watch the movie than the new Arrow one, unfortunately. So let's get into the release, the review of this. I'm going to do the talk about the transfer first, and then special features, then I'll show you the packaging and stuff. Well, here's the deal. It's a little bit of a disappointment, and the last video I did, uploaded on this channel, was a review of the recently released Criterion Blu-ray of the original Night of the Living Dead from 1968, and that was the first, I think the first release I ever got that, among other entities, it was a restoration done by the Museum of Modern Art. I talked about in my review of that in the Criterion Blu-ray release of Night of the Living Dead that I had to turn my my brightness down 10 points at the beginning of the movie because the brightness was just way too bright and the contrast might have not been so hot, and I was really surprised, being a Criterion Blu-ray, that it was screwed up like that, and I wondered, and I still wonder, what happened. Well, cut to a couple weeks later when I get this release, which is also, and I'm going to start saying this with releases, well, I don't know if I'll even be getting them in the future, when they're released, when a restoration of a movie is done by, unfortunately, the restoration of this particular release of Basket Case was also done by the Museum of Modern Art. It says to be a brand new 4K restoration from the original 16 millimeter negative. So, basically, Museum of Modern Art, as far as I can tell, the whatever, even before the movie starts and the packaging and stuff, they're kind of the main people who claim to have done this new 4K transfer / restoration. And I gotta tell you, as soon as the movie started, in my opinion, once again, after I saw this release, I'm kind of starting to understand what the hell the problem probably was with the Blu-ray Night of the Living Dead. I think it's the Museum of Modern Art, to be honest. When the movie started, instantly, to me, it was like, first of all, the red credits, which have normally been a really nice kind of a deep red, are like this, I don't know, orangish, reddish, the opening credits that go over the shots of Dr. Lifflander, if that's the guy who's coming out of his house or whatever. Just a gross kind of a not as good a color credits as they've always been before, and the brightness was way too high. I had to instantly turn the brightness down 5 points, and my brightness, to get it to a point where I thought was more like it should be, or how it always has been. So overall, what I'm going to say about the transfer is, I think you do improve some things from the previous Blu-ray, and then you, as I've already said, get some things that are worse. So this kind of a thing is really kind of frustrating. So I think the things it improves upon from the previous Blu-ray release of Basket Case is wobble. I think wobble is pretty much a thing of the past, is gone. I don't really personally have a problem with wobble. To me, it's almost like artifacts on transfers, where it almost adds a little bit of charm. To be honest, seeing this movie wobble free was kind of like almost jarring, like I don't know. So that you could technically say is an improvement over the previous release. I think sharpness possibly is a little sharper on this release. It's brighter. I think the contrast slash brightness in this, particular release are kind of really effed up. Now here's the thing, like, it's brighter in a good sense in that maybe you can see more of the darker stuff than you ever were able to have seen before, but at the same time it's like, I thought the first Blu-ray, or the recent, the Blu-ray release that came before this, was an absolutely fantastic version of this movie, and in a lot of ways you don't really need it to be any brighter than that. Maybe some people, to me this release seems overly bright, in a brightness level that doesn't really need to exist. And unfortunately I couldn't really watch these Blu-rays side by side to get that kind of a comparison, but I switched them back and forth, and in my opinion, this is still the better way to watch this movie. I think the brightness and the colors are more, just more natural, and it just looks more natural. This release, unfortunately, in my opinion, like I say, the brightness and or contrast seems to be a little bit in a way that isn't that great. The colors, aren't, in my opinion, necessarily that great. Like I say, the opening credits, the red is just like, I don't know what the hell happened. So, but then you might get, the wobble might be gone, which isn't a big thing, in my opinion anyway, and the sharpness may be a little more sharp than it is in the previous Blu-ray. So the audio, I didn't notice any issues with the audio. Audio was something that, kind of, for me, not that it's not important, but when you get these releases and stuff, is kind of, I don't tend to notice or really focus on audio as much as I scrutinize the video or the image. So that's my review of the image part of the movie. Unfortunately, in my opinion, it's, at the end of the day, all around, I say it's a downgrade from this, the first Blu-ray release, and I'd probably rather watch the movie in this version than this version, because I think it's just all around a more pleasing to the eyes version. So, like I do so many times in these Blu-ray reviews, I'll show a shot of the back of the box so you can see all the director-approved special edition contents. Now, basically, they're calling this release a limited edition, and I'm not exactly sure. I don't think it says it on the case, but when you order it online and stuff and you see things about it, it's like limited edition. Now, I'm not exactly sure what that means, if it means, I know that, I think I read that, like, the booklet in here is a first run thing only, and again, booklets, as I've said in the past, really don't mean a whole hell of a lot to me. So you could take it or leave the booklet. I don't know if the slipcase will become something that they'll stop offering, or if the whole release is limited. I'm not exactly sure. I can't comment. If you've got the details about exactly what's limited about this release, please, feel free to leave your information down in the comments. But as I was saying, this director-approved special edition contents is chock full of special features, and it should be noted that this is all on one Blu-ray disc. It just contains one disc, a Blu-ray disc that comes with this release. I don't know how they got all this stuff onto this disc, but they did. Maybe that's why the picture of the movie sucks, or okay, maybe it doesn't suck, but I mean, I don't think it's as good as the previous release. So one of the main things I got this Blu-ray for is it actually features a brand new audio commentary with writer-director Frank Henenlotter, Henenlotter, and then of course the Kevin Van Henterick, who plays Dwayne Bradley. I wasn't sure I was actually going to get this release, but you know what? I just liked Kevin's portrayal of Dwayne Bradley so much that I just I gotta hear the commentary. Unfortunately, in my opinion, having listened to the new commentary with the director and Kevin Van Henterick, Kevin doesn't really, say a whole hell of a lot. I mean, he says certain things here and there, but unfortunately he's a little more on the quiet side and kind of just, Frank Henenlotter is kind of a blabbermouth, and I'd say Kevin spends the majority of his time just going, oh really, or uh-huh, or just, you know, reacting to what Frank says. Unfortunately, this release also includes the commentary that they did probably back in 2001 when Something Weird Video released the special edition DVD of Basket Case. That was the first time it ever came on video with commentary and any additional special features. So that's the main reason I got this release, for the commentary, which turned out to be not particularly that great. And then this archival audio commentary is the one from the, you know, the release that they recorded in 2001 for the DVD and was ported over to the 2011 Blu-ray from Something Weird Video. You've got this new feature video here. It's a Basket Case 3.5, an interview with Dwayne Bradley. It's kind of a new short film. Well, it's shot on video by Frank Henlotter. I think it might be like 8 minutes. It's under 10 minutes long. It's just this goofy kind of thing where they're driving out to presumably Kevin Van Hentrich's, you know, actual residence, and you know, Kevin's in character as Dwayne, and it's just it's a kind of amusing little, you know, whatever the closest thing we're ever going to get to Basket Case 4, probably, where, you know, Kevin's in Dwayne character mode, and just this, they do this little shtick or whatever. It's nothing to write home about. Then I think this next thing video that's featured is me and the Bradley Boys, a brand new interview with Kevin Van Henterich. And I think that's like 16 minutes long. And you know, I don't know, I find Kevin Van Henterich just to be very, I don't know what, his voice is just classic. I find him to just be a person that radiates just an overall, I don't know, I've always thought he would just radiate some kind of greatness, for whatever reason. So watching him in an interview, even if he may not be saying, you know, the most interesting things in the world, it's a cool, you know, retrospective interview to have. And I got to tell you, I mean, his voice is exactly like it has always been, you know, from the first movie. So it's really cool to hear just, you know, his voice. And for me, it's just like he just got that, you know, that Kevin Van Henterich voice or whatever. So you've got that, me and the Bradley Boys. That's the new interview with Kevin Van Henterich. A brief interview with the with director Frank Henenlotter. And this one, I don't know. I think this is the one that of the interview which they call a strange 2017 interview with the director, which is a kind of a video that I didn't appreciate, being a heterosexual male, as I said when I opened the review of this Blu-ray, and having seen this his short film, Slash of the Knife, I think it's called, and just other things and stuff like that. I think, you know, and it's his right to have, you know, a fetish or an interest in dicks, you know, male genitalia, if you will, but this thing which they call a strange new a strange 2017 interview with the director was this absolutely ridiculous, you know, mocking kind of just thing where they have this, I don't know who this guy is, he's naked, sitting in, I think, a director's chair, and he's got like a mic taped to his chest, and he's got one leg over the other, so you can't see anything, fortunately, and I was very appreciative of that for the duration of the quote-unquote interview. Basically, this guy's, you know, he's much younger. It's not Frank Henlotter. I don't know who he is, if he's his son or what, you know, who's basically pretending to be, you know, Frank Henlotter, and Frank Henlotter, of course, is behind camera questioning him, and when this guy answers incorrectly, Frank will tell him the correct answer. It's just, you know, basically, if it's Frank Henlotter's sense of humor. If you like this kind of sense of humor, more power to you. To me, it's kind of high school / college mentality stuff, and unfortunately at my extreme, you know, whatever, revulsion or whatever, my extreme displeasure at the end of this, you know, just goofball, you know, just whatever you want to call it, goofball, nonsensical interview, this guy, to my absolute horror, stands up, and when he stands up, obviously his junk is hanging right there, and he's like looking back and forth, like pretending like, where am I supposed to go, just to let it linger there. And I think he walks, at this point I'm kind of in shock, but I think he ends up walking off. And it's just like, you know, if you think that's funny, more power to you. Again, it's not what I consider to be something that's particularly funny, you know. I mean, at Frank Henlotter's age, I mean, dick jokes, whatever, you know. I guess it's his right to make dick jokes. But I would, kind of, and this goes for men and women. I mean, I would, it's just, I guess I'd kind of recommend avoiding that particular video. I'll just put a warning there that, beware, because at the end he's going to stand up and you're going to see everything. So, yeah, I had to mention that in my disdain, if you will, for that particular feature. I didn't appreciate it very much, but I guess maybe I can't take a joke, a high school or middle school joke. Seeing Double, the Basket Case twins, a brand new interview with the two twins who were the nurses in Basket Case. I mean, you can tell, holy crap, they're basically two versions of the same people. They're, answering each other's questions, finishing and starting each other's sentences. So I can't remember the duration of that particular video, but whatever, it's not the biggest thing in the world. Blood Basket and Beyond, a brand new interview with actress Beverly Bonner. In this brand new featurette, including interviews with the producer, casting person, associate producer, special effects artist, and Belial performer. Oh yeah, unbeknownst to me, up until this time this release came out, at one point in the movie when Belial accosts whatever Beverly Bonner's, I can't remember her character's name for whatever reason right now, but when Belial accosts, why can't I think of her name? Beverly Bonner's character in her hotel room, the Belial going and moving his fingers and stuff was actually one of the people's involved with the production of this movie's, I think 8-year-old daughter at the time, puppeting Belial's arms at the time, and she just didn't. That was really interesting to know. I don't think I ever knew that before this release. So she was scared of the puppet and didn't like doing it, and they made her do it, which is kind of mean. So that was kind of an interesting thing to see or to find out about. Then you've got a 37-minute video here, Basket Case at Museum of Modern Art. It's basically before the showing and after kind of Q&A session. And I don't know what the hell is the problem with the Museum of Modern Art. Even the quality of this video shot, before and after the screening, the quality and the color and the contrast and the brightness of this video sucks too. And I want to say that there's other interviews on this release that also have this really crappy, what the hell kind of TVs do they have at Museum of Modern Art that I just don't understand it. But I want to say that this other video where it introduced, what's it called? The Latvian Connection. I think that video, the color and the contrast and the brightness really suck on that video too. And the same thing for this 37-minute Basket Case at Museum of Modern Art. If you can get by the way the video looks, which looks like crap, it's a cool way to to experience the. It's like the premiere of the restoration they did in October of 2017, and Henenlotter and what's his name, Van Henterick and the twins and Beverly Bonner and other people are present for a Q&A after the fact. So it's a cool way to experience an event that you ordinarily wouldn't have been able to experience because it's happened and it's over with. So that video is, although it looks like crap, it's an interesting video. Oh, here you go. This is cool. I forgot to look at it and see what the length of it is, but it's over an hour long. I want to say it's like an hour and 15 minutes long or more. What's in the Basket? Feature-length documentary covering the 3 films in the Basket Case series. That documentary was probably released on, I think they put out in some other countries or something like that, this Blu-ray trilogy, and that documentary was probably available on that. I don't think it had ever been available on anything else. Regardless, I don't think I'd seen it before, so that was really cool. Freaking, feature-length documentary on the making of all 3, retrospective documentary on the making of all 3 movies was a cool extra. I don't regret buying this. Like, the extras make it worth it for me, and if I want to watch the movie, I'll probably most likely watch that version. So that's a really cool feature to have, talking about all 3 movies, and you've got interviews with the former head or whatever of the outfit that made the 2 sequels. So that's a cool interview, or cool, retrospective feature-length making of documentary. And then some of this other stuff, like In Search of Hotel Roslyn and stuff, has you know, is stuff that's been on you know, previous releases, starting with the 2001 DVD and then ported over to the 2011 Blu-ray. You've got his Slash of the Knife from 1976, a 30-minute, rarely seen short made by Frank Henenlotter, featuring many of the same actors from Basket Case. Then you've got, which I just watched, and that was just a kind of a goofball movie about, it's kind of a goofball propaganda movie about circumcision, I can say that, circumcision, which again, it goes back to Frank Henenlotter's, Frank Henenlotter's obsession, or, you know, whatever you want to call it, with male genitalia. I just watched that just now, recently, and there's a commentary that actually they recorded for that with Frank Henenlotter and playwright Mike whoever, and so I didn't, you know, watching the short was traumatizing enough. I'm not going to watch it again with the commentary. So like I said, I don't know what it is with him and dicks, but it's whatever, as long as he doesn't hurt anyone else, I guess. Then you've got Basket Case and Slash the Knife outtakes. This really cool thing here, Belial's Dream. It's a short animated film from 2017, and it says it's 5 minutes on here. It's a really kind of a cool, you know, art film slash animated film thing that this guy made a Belial puppet, and he kind of just made like a little 5-minute short about what Belial might have a nightmare about. And it's absolutely flippin' fantastic. It might be, you know, worth the, you know, freaking cost of this Blu-ray alone. It's absolutely fantastic. I don't know if you can see it on YouTube or anything like that. It might be worth a shot. But Belial's Dream, absolutely amazing. 5-minute animated short with little Belial puppet and all this stuff, and kind of an insight into what a fan thinks, you know, might torment Belial while he sleeps in his little basket or whatever. Absolutely cool, and to be honest, the animation is so great, it almost makes you wish like they could do a Basket Case 4 and all those Belial, and they could get this guy to animate the Belial stuff, because they would harken back in a really cool way to the first movie by actually having animated Belial again. And this animation in this is so amazing that it'd be really cool to, you know, have a Basket Case 4 with this guy animating a Belial. Belial's Dream, highly recommended little short by presumably a Basket Case fan. So I think that's you know, all of the main stuff I wanted to talk about. Is pretty much everything about this release. And then of course, you know, I think they missed an opportunity. You know, the cover art's cool and the slipcase is cool, but I think they missed an opportunity. They should have had this flip case, you know, be a flap where when you open it up, then of course, you know, it should have been a flap, so then you open it up like the top of the basket. It wouldn't have been very hard to do, I wouldn't think, and then, you know, to reveal that. But this, of course, is being newly commissioned artwork, and I don't hate it. I mean, I don't love it, I don't hate it. I think it's a kind of an okay rendition of Belial, but like so many releases, you know, of Arrow Video Past, you have the option for this cover art or the original poster art, which is something that's very much appreciated. To be honest, I kind of would have probably rather had like the media VHS cover, because that's kind of in pseudo color rather than this, but you know, at least they gave us this. So thank you very much for giving us this. Just popping it open here. The disc is really cool, and to be honest, this would probably be my all-time favorite option for the cover. Look at the artwork on that disc. You know, I'd rather have the artwork on the cover be that, to be honest. And then you've got this booklet, which is said to be, I guess, limited to the first pressing. A Basket Case comic strip. They got a pretty good likeness there of the Part 1 Belial. So if you want this booklet, you better, oh, that's cool. Get the release now, because the booklet's limited. So that's my review of the recently released Blu-ray by Arrow Video of Basket Case. Really great on the extras. Unfortunately, the presentation, and as I already said, in my opinion, is kind of, I don't know, leaves a lot to be desired. It improves, I think, in some areas, and then, you know, goes and doesn't improve in others. So so what are you gonna do? But at least I would highly recommend, if you guys still have this, to hold on to that. Then I'm sure as hell not going to get rid of that. So this is something in closing that I found recently since I did my basket case reviews. So I thought it would be an opportune moment to share in this video. Something that I made, in my original review basket case that I did years ago or whatever. I told you guys that I first saw basket case when I was 14 and just fell instantly in love with the movie. So as I so often do when there's not things available to buy, or propaganda or paraphernalia to buy for movies, I'll make it myself. So I actually took a manila envelope, or whatever you call this thing, and took it upon myself to recreate as well as I could the infamous blood splattered manila folder. It comes complete with, well, it's kind of hard to show you. I'll show you in a digital picture. It comes complete with Dwayne Bradley's name on the flap there. So that's pretty cool. Little, pseudo prop, home, fan prop of the movie. And what's really cool about what's in here, most of it's just unrelated stuff, but this is stuff that I found and got, gathered together to show you guys at the end of this review. This is some artwork that I did when I was 14. Of just basket case. I thought I'd got that basket case font down there pretty well on that particular drawing, if I do say so myself. Basket case, the comic book. Well, I'll just show you this in a digital photo so you can see it better. But it's, as you can see, it's like the part 2 likeness, and it's the part 2 location. It's someone at Granny Ruth's peeking their head up into the attic where all the freaks stay, and then his eyeball, and his reaction, no, and then, yeah, basket case, the comic book. And then here's another thing I did here, which is just a random victim thing, as he often gets them from the side. And there's my rendition of Dwayne. Belial, what? Oh no! And then Belial, his bloody hand. But as you can see, that this picture down here is the part 2 rendition of basket case. At the time when I was 14, part 2 was the most recent sequel, and it wouldn't be until the next year that part 3 would come out. But that's just some of my basket case, just fandom stuff that I'd found rather recently, trying to do some cleaning, and I'm like, oh cool, because I remembered about this and I wanted to show you guys in the basket case reviews, but I didn't know where it was at the time. So thank you very much for watching my review of the recently released basket case Blu-ray by Arrow Video, and as always, we'll catch you on the next movie and or Blu-ray review. But here, let's just for a laugh, they have this thing here that says, about the transfer. Basket case has been restored by the Museum of Modern Art in cooperation with the director. The film was scanned, graded, and restored at... Fuck it.